What's up, YouTube? I am Robert Linkul with TrainingTheOlderAdult.com. With the holiday season coming in just ahead of us, it got me thinking about my favorite commercial, and I'm going to show you a quick clip of it right now. Beautiful. It's beautiful. And you can see exactly why that is my favorite commercial. I had so many people send me that commercial and say, hey, if Rob was going to make a commercial, this would be it. And it is a very functional, a very strength-based example of how we could lift for movements in life. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is overhead actions and overhead ranges of motion, that if you can't get your arms over your head, what progressions you could take to get you there. And if you are pressing overhead or are capable of raising overhead, what kind of lifts and exercises could help you improve your mobility, ability, stability, and strength to press and pull from an overhead range of motion. So join us as we dive into these 6 strategies on how to get your arms over your head and or how to press weight over your head. Exercise number 1 is horizontal rowing. You could use any type of bands or pulleys, whatever it is that you want, but I'll show you one key component to this is making sure that you are getting this pronated to supinated row variation as you're working through your range of motion. And why that is so important for us is this pronated, internally rotated position helps your shoulder blades protrude and work through kind of a full range of motion. And as you retract the shoulder blades, the bicep naturally wants to supinate. So you maximize your bicep, you maximize that internal rotation of the scapula and that adduction, the retraction of the shoulder blades, the depression or anti-shrug of the shoulder blades, all that rows back into that perfect postured position where what we're trying to do is build enough strength to kind of pull the hood of the coracoid process where your pec and your bicep and your anterior delt all kind of manipulate or insert or originate from, and pull that hood back just a little bit to allow your arm to press and pull to an overhead range of motion. So rowing is going to be a huge piece for us to start off with. Next, we start with developing some traditional deltoid strength with some very simple shoulder raises. You can do any of these. Front shoulder raise, 45-degree angle, lateral or 90, hinged, bent over. You could do thumbs up, you can do neutral or pronated, you could do thumbs down or internally rotated, cup, empty cup, eyes, Ys, Ts, bent over flies, any shoulder fly variation that is comfortable for you, meaning it's not popping, clicking, pinching, piercing, causing discomfort at any angle of pull, at any height. Nobody said you have to stop at 90 degrees. You can actually develop quite a bit more deltoid specific strength by going over 90 degrees as long as it doesn't hurt you. So you got to specifically dive into that deltoid strength because at some point we're going to need that as we groove the path and we pull the shoulder blades back. We're going to start to work that overhead range, but the deltoid is going to be the driving factor in assisting us getting overhead. Third step is grooving the path. Basically, putting ourselves in a position via a pull or some range of motion that's going to allow our arms to reach to the overhead range, but we're not pushing to get there yet. We're allowing the pull to occur. I can't think of a better one as a kneeling or a seated overhead pull down. This is one of my favorites. You can rig it up however you want, using pulleys, using cable machines, using any of your fixed machines at home, whatever you guys have. I'm going to displace and push my hips back. My hands are pronated. elevated. As I pull down, I rotate to my supination, very similar to the step 1 horizontal row. But now as I come back up, wherever I'm comfortable, either neutral or pronated, and I allow that range of motion to be grooved. I want my shoulders to learn what it feels like to get to overhead, even though I'm not pushing there yet. Now, eventually, this grooved range of motion, my retracted scapula, and my developed deltoid strength are going to eventually help me get to that overhead range. But we're not quite there yet. Step 4 is leverage lifting. Now, you can do this with a couple of different pieces of equipment. You could use any kind of landmine or any pivot point. Now, my favorite pivot point is the single arm. I should say my favorite for overhead range of motion is the single arm pivot point, which is basically a kettlebell suspended from a traditional lifting strap or a ring strap, anything that is gauged and geared to hold a lot of weight. Now, I'm going to take my weight in hand and I'm going to step forward to a position where my shoulder and the weight are in line. I could go even feet, I could stand contralateral, whatever's comfortable for you. And as I push and start to reach this weight to overhead, I can lean in and again groove my path like I did with the overhead pull, the overhead pull down in step 3. I can start to groove this path, but now I'm pushing to the overhead rather than pulling or being pulled to the overhead position. And the reason I can do this is the support of the strap or the support of the landmine is going to help me stabilize my shoulder. The lever of my shoulder working against the lever of the implement, in this case the strap, I can lean and support that joint and basically start to work through a range of motion that I don't currently have if I don't have this support. So without it, maybe I can only go to 170 degrees, but with it, I can get to a full 180. Establish strength, establish range of motion, start to groove that path to the overhead using leverage. All right, team, step 5, we're almost there. We're getting closer. Our next exercise is called a dual tension press. Now we've established retraction, we have created strength to go overhead, we've grooved the path pulling, we've grooved the path pushing. Now we can pretty much get there, but I want to establish a little bit more support and recruit a little more strength of the shoulder to help me get to this position. So I have my first tension, the weight, pulling directly down with gravity, right? Pulling down here, allowing me resistance. I have my second tension, dual tension, is the band pulling me backwards, but it's also giving me some support. So I'm gonna get a little bit of assistance from the band. I'm gonna get the weight from the Fatbell. Now, as I'm going overhead, where the dual tension comes in, is the support that I'm getting around the shoulder joint, where I would normally just have my deltoid and my tricep doing the primary work. Now I've got my pec, I've got my serratus, I've got my bicep, I've got my lat, I have all these other musculatures engaged at the shoulder to resist this band, or else it would yank me back and pull me out of position. I now have all these muscles on and engaged to help the shoulder stabilize while I'm pushing to my overhead and vertical 180 degree position. Now, if I can't get to 180 degrees, I should not be doing this yet. Go back to steps 1 through 4 and keep working that range of motion. But if we get to this point, dual tension, and you can't get to 180, there's no point in loading this dysfunction. We are not ready for it. Back off a little bit. But if you can do it, we are ready for step 6, which is the final thing. Remove the band and you are ready for game time, baby. Now, I like to do a first couple of presses by looking and watching and figuring out what is vertical, okay? Bicep covers the ear, in line with my torso, not my face, okay? Getting in that good position. And now once I'm here and I'm capable and able to push my arm over my head, I can do anything that I want here with load or without. I have stability, I have strength, I have mobility, I have a range of motion that I can be confident in and prevent myself from getting hurt. Well, it looks like we are ready to pick up our kids and put that star up on the Christmas tree, just like our inspired old man there in our commercial, which I absolutely love. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any other questions, you need any other information, please comment below. Remember to subscribe, to ring the bell, and to share with your friends. Make sure you don't miss any of the information that we are putting out for you. We try to do at least one video a week, if not more. Head over to trainingtheolderadult.com. Check out all the other materials, the new courses, everything else that we have coming out for you. I am Robert Linkul with trainingtheolderadult.com. We really appreciate you. Remember one thing, movement is life, friends.